Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Rosh Hashana. We are up to Perek Aleph Mishnah Bet. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilul Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Aranbay and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov Menuchatam Began Eden Amen and Lavde ben Chaim Nechaim for the Refuah Shenamav Bacha Bat Esther and Daniel Shalom ben Rosa Betoch Shar Cholei Israel. The Mishnah begins Be'arba Prakim Ha'olam Nidon. 4 times a year the world is judged. But Pesach al it is judged on Pesach for the success of the grain crops, because Pesach is the time when grain begins to ripen. The commentaries explain on the second day of Pesach we are obligated to bring the Omer offering, which is made of barley. The purpose of this offering is to show God that we rely on Him for grain and are asking Him for a successful harvest. So by ordering us to bring this offering on Pesach, the Torah informs us that Pesach is the time when God determines the success of the grain harvest. Ba'atzeret al perot hailan, it is judged on Shavuot for the fruits of the tree, because that is when fruits begin to ripen. On Shavuot, we are commanded to bring the offering of the shti alechem, the 2 loaves, which consists of wheat. The Tan of this Mishnah classifies wheat as a tree because in his view, the tree of knowledge, the Etz Hadat in the Garden of Eden, in Gan Eden, was wheat, as the Gemara says on page 70b in Masechet Sanhedrin. So the Rav explains the fact that we bring a tree offering on Shavuot indicates that this is the time when God decides the quantity and quality of our tree's produce. Berosh Hashana kol ba'ei olam ovrim lifanav kivnei maron. On Rosh Hashanah, all those who have entered the world, all human beings, pass before God like lambs before their shepherd, and He judges them for life or death based on their deeds. Now, when lambs are counted for tithing, they go one at a time through a gate too narrow for 2 to pass through together. Same thing here. Now, Adam and Chava were judged on the 1st of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, for the sin of eating from the tree of knowledge, the Etz Hadat. That date was therefore established as the time when God judges people each year. Shneimar, as is stated in Tehillim, chapter 33, pasuk 15, Hayotzer yachad libam amevin el kol ma'asem. The Creator sees their hearts together and understands all their deeds. Even though they pass in front of God one by one, He sees them all at the same time, as the pasuk refers to, together. Now, on Rosh Hashanah, every person is judged as to whether he will live or die, whether he will experience pleasure or pain, profit or loss. Although on Pesach and Shavuot it is decided how much produce will grow, that judgment concerns the general public. On Rosh Hashanah it is decided how large a portion of those crops each individual will receive. Ubachag nidonin al hamayim, and on the festival Sukkot, the world is judged for water because the rainy season begins soon afterwards. On each day of Sukkot, we are commanded to do the mitzvah of nisuch hamayim, pouring water on the altar, as the Mishnah says in Mishnayot Masechet Sukkah, chapter 4, Mishnayot 9 and 10. The Torah therefore teaches us that God's judgment about water rainfall takes place on Sukkot. And that is the end of Mishnah Bet. Mishnah Gimel continues really the next 17 Mishnayot from Mishnah Bet through chapter 3, Mishnah 1, discuss the laws of Kiddush HaChodesh, sanctification of the new month. In the Jewish calendar, a month is either 29 or 30 days long. It was the duty of the Bet Din, the court. Here the term Bet Din refers to the highest court in the land, the great Sanhedrin of 71 judges, which sat in Yerushalayim, or to a 3-judge panel that they appointed, as the Rambam writes in Echot Kiddush HaChodesh, chapter 5, Halacha 1. It was the duty of them to decide when one month ends and the next one begins. They did so based on the appearance of the moon. If the new moon, new moon is used in this context to mean the moon's first appearance as a narrow crescent, if the new moon was seen on the night that began the 30th day of the outgoing month, the Bet Din would declare that day to be Rosh Chodesh, literally head of the month, meaning the first day of the new month. If the new moon was not seen until the night that began the 31st day, or if it was not seen at all, the 31st day would be Rosh Chodesh. Now, since most festivals fall on a certain date of the month, for example, Pesach begins on the 15th of Nisan, the Bet Din would send out messengers to inform those who live far from Yerushalayim when Rosh Chodesh fell, so that they would know when to observe the festivals. Messengers were sent out only on the months that contain festivals, as the Mishnah explains. The Mishnah Gimel begins, Al Shisha Chodeshim Ashluchin Yotzin. For each of the following 6 months, the messengers of the Bet Din went out to tell those who live far from Yerushalayim which day was Rosh Chodesh. Al Nisan mipnei Pesach, for Nisan because of the festival of Pesach. People needed to know when Rosh Chodesh of Nisan fell so that they could observe the holiday of Pesach on the proper day, the 15th of the month of Nisan. The messengers went as far as they could until Pesach, traveling every day except Shabbat. It was not necessary to tell the people when the month of Shvat began, although that month contains the festival of Shavuot, because Shavuot does not have a fixed date in the month of Sivan. Rather, its date is the 50th day from the 16th of Nisan, as the Torah says in Sefer Vayikra, chapter 23, Psukim 15 through 21. Therefore, as long as the people knew when the Rosh Chodesh of Nisan fell, they could reckon the day of Shavuot. Now, people who lived so far from Yerushalayim that the messengers could not reach them by Pesach had to observe Pesach for 2 days to cover both possibilities. This is the source for the practice today to observe 2 days of Yom Tov outside of Eretz Yisrael. Al Av mipnei Ta'anit, for Av, because of the fast of Tisha B'Av, people needed to know when the month of Av began so that they could observe Tisha B'Av on the right day. Although the months of Tammuz and Tevet also contain fast days, messengers, which is the 17th of Tammuz and the 10th of Tevet, messengers were not sent out on those months. They went out only for the sake of Tisha B'Av, which is more stringent than the other fasts because it is the day when the first and second temples were destroyed. Al Elul mipnei Rosh Hashanah, for Elul because of Rosh Hashanah. Now, the commentators explain that actually Rosh Hashanah falls not in Elul, but in the next month, Tishrei. However, since Rosh Hashanah is the very first day of Tishrei, it was impossible to send messengers that month to inform the people about Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, the messengers would go out in Elul instead. Once the people knew when Rosh Chodesh Elul fell, they would count 29 days and celebrate the next day as Rosh Hashanah. They could assume that Elul was only 29 days long and not 30, because that was its length in most years. Al Tishrei mipnei takanat moadot, for Tishrei because of settling the dates of the holidays, namely Yom Kippur and Sukkot. Although for the sake of Rosh Hashanah, the people could assume that Elul was only 29 days long, there was still a small chance that it was 30 days long. Therefore, messengers went out in Tishrei to tell them when that month actually began, so they could be absolutely sure when to observe Yom Kippur, which is the 10th of Tishrei, and Sukkot, the 15th of Tishrei. Al Kislev mipnei Chanukah, for Kislev because of Chanukah, Val Adar mipnei Purim, and for Adar because of Purim. Uchshaya Bet HaMikdash kayam yotzin af al Iyar mipnei Pesach Katan, and when the temple was standing, messengers went out for Iyar as well because of Pesach Sheni. The Torah in Sefer Bamidbar, chapter 9, Psukim 10 and 11, commands that if someone could not bring the Pesach offering on the day before Pesach because he was tameh, impure, or far from Yerushalayim, he must bring it 1 month later on the 14th of Iyar. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have an Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.